This year is the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers free comic book day special by Boom Studios, which serves as a tie-in to Shattered Grid. The story begins shortly after the defeat of the Samurai Rangers in issue number 26 of the main comic. Alpha and Zordon can see the events unfold on the viewing globe. Given the severity of the situation, Zordon tells Alpha he must request an audience with the emissaries. Apparently there are consequences, but Zordon accepts them and begins the process of requesting an audience. We see Zordon's human form materialise once again, a nice nod to when we last saw Zordon in human form earlier on in the main comic. Zordon's request is answered as the emissaries show up. They appear in ranger suits, but they fluctuate in powers like Mighty Morphin, Lightspeed Rescue, Time Force and Galaxy, etc. Zordon is asking them to speak with the Morphin Masters because he fears the current events will shatter reality and end all existence. The emissaries tell Zordon that the Masters cannot involve themselves and that the fate of worlds or existence are choices that belong to the people. As Zordon chose Rangers to combat problems and because he sought help from the emissaries, they tell him his Rangers are probably not worthy. Zordon argues his case for the Rangers, telling the emissaries how far the Rangers have come. One thing that caught my eye here is this drawing of Kimberly. It is essentially a remarkable job of reproducing this promotional image of Amy Jo Johnson. The other Rangers, not so. Anyway, the reason why I enjoyed this comic is because this story is actually a retelling of Day of the Dumpster. So we're finally seeing how it all began in the comic books universe. So it is basically the opening events of Day of the Dumpster with some changes. Billy is being taught karate by Jason, but Billy is a bit more confident than his TV show counterpart. Trini is practicing martial arts whilst Kimberly is doing gymnastics. Keeping with modern times, Kimberly even references the popular dating app Tinder when she asks Trini if she wants to swipe right for Matt's friend. The real major difference is that Zach is not doing anything productive, whereas in the TV show he was sparring with Jason. And then comes the earthquake, with Ernie spilling things onto Bulk and Skull, and the Rangers trying to get away. But suddenly they can't move and are teleported to the command centre. A lot of familiar dialogue here, such as Kimberly's comments about it not being the mall, and saying someone to come back to Earth to pick her up. Billy's amazement at seeing a fully sentient, multifunctional automaton, and of course Zordon telling the Rangers that he's an interdimensional being caught in the time warp. So a very nice nod to the first episode of Power Rangers, but updated for modern times, and fitting in with the characters of the comic book series. Zordon continues to explain to the emissaries how the Rangers fought Rita, overcame her spells and putty patrollers, and how the Rangers call upon the Megazord on instinct to battle Rita's giants. In essence, it's just a summary of some of the things we've seen on the TV show. And here, after the Rangers first fight in the Megazord, Goldar flies away, whereas in the TV show he just vanished into thin air. Bit of a discrepancy though, as the first issue of Go-Go Power Rangers showed Goldar teleporting away in a flash. But then it ties back neatly with Go-Go Power Rangers, as all 5 Rangers are then standing outside the Megazord, albeit with their helmets on. Next, we see the Rangers trying to make the world a better place. They're trying to get students to sign a petition to combat climate change, something we've already seen in the original TV series. One thing bugs me though. Trini has long hair after what is called Arrival Day in Go-Go Power Rangers, which is basically Day of the Dumpster. Trini of course had long hair in the TV series, and she still has long hair in the main comic. But in Go-Go Power Rangers, she has short hair. There was previously a vague comment which could have explained Trini's short hair in Go-Go Power Rangers, but here it's like she always had long hair. Perhaps this is a continuity error down to the difference in artists. Here's a big change coming up. Tommy arrives asking for directions to Appleby's classroom. It's now Mrs. Appleby instead of Miss Appleby, but actually the big change is that Tommy didn't seem to meet Jason in the martial arts competition. It's his first time meeting the Rangers here, whilst asking for directions. And it looks like he may have already been made evil by Rita. But the fact is, Tommy was given the Green Ranger powers, and he was also given the Sword of Darkness as we saw on TV. He went and fought the Rangers himself, he also took his Dragon Sword and fought the Megazord with it, and then the evil spell was broken when Jason destroyed the Sword of Darkness. So that is all the same. And now we catch up to the events of the comics with Tommy's death. Zordon goes on to explain that whilst Tommy became an ally in his world, that didn't happen in all dimensions. Because obviously, in another world, Tommy became Lord Drakon and continued serving Rita to conquer the Rangers' world. We actually see Rita here, which is good because we never saw Rita in Drakon's world. This comic pretty much explains her absence. It was all Drakon in his universe because he double-crossed Rita by stabbing her to death with the Dragon Dagger. Rita didn't see it coming, as Tommy said she gave him his powers, and it's only fitting that they be her end. And we see Drakon take hold of Rita's staff, so this is most likely where he gets his additional powers from. We know the rest. Drakon builds up his armies of sentries, and also Tommy gets stabbed in the back. Those actions are breaking reality, which of course is the whole plot device behind this Shattered Grid crossover event with other Power Rangers. So Zordon has pretty much made his case to the emissaries, wanting the Morphin Masters to cut Drakon off from his power. However, the Red Emissary tells Zordon that his Rangers do demonstrate remarkable abilities and resolve. He should have faith in them the same way the Morphin Masters have faith in him. And so the audience comes to an end. It is revealed that the emissaries were looking forward to seeing Zordon join the Morphin Grid, but because Zordon sought an audience so early and used up his reserve powers, that is no longer possible. The emissaries wish Zordon luck as the audience comes to a close. The blue emissary wonders if Zordon's concerns are justified. The red and yellow emissaries think Zordon has lost his edge, as they tell the blue emissary that realities come and go, and such has happened throughout the eons. The red emissary says the path before Zordon and his Power Rangers is cyclical, with the struggle between order and chaos rising and falling like the tide. So basically the universe is destined to have good and evil battle it out across time, and this is just usual business. That's how this issue ends. Just a note here that we see some of the morphers that Drakon has managed to obtain, like the Samuraiser from the main comic, but also others like Dino Morphers from Dino Thunder. So the Dino Thunder team must have been defeated without it being shown in the comics. Final thoughts. The comic was good because we finally saw the origin story for the comics universe, which is a rehash of Day of the Dumpster, and we see how Tommy shows up. The emissaries aren't very helpful, and it was interesting to see male forms of female rangers, for example, the Yellow Zia Ranger, because in the TV show it was Tanya, who was obviously female. And in this comic it's said that Zordon would have joined the Morphin Grid after his death. If we apply the same logic to the TV series, maybe after Andros shattered Zordon's tube, Zordon joined the Morphin Grid? A somewhat retrospective happier ending then. At the end of the day, this issue wasn't really an essential read as part of the Shattered Grid storyline, unless the events here are referenced in the comics later. But the highlight for me was finally seeing the origin of the Power Rangers in this universe.